Twitch up on my phone. Okay, I think that is live, even though now it's not showing the video on my phone this week. Oh, there we go. I am live. That actually worked pretty quickly this time. Twitch is always getting better. All right, my puppies are in the background, so if you hear growling, they're making their presence known tonight for what could be our last live stream of the semester. I think I was looking over the schedule, and we will likely be doing conferences again like we did for the midterm. But since we canceled last week's live stream, and this is the makeup for it, I am going to be sharing a link to a live stream about installing WooCommerce. That'll be pretty easy after you follow tonight's video to get WordPress installed on the shared server. Puppy, stop it. Okay, sorry about that. So this very well might be the last live stream of the semester. And it's a busy one. We are going to be doing a lot of review. Everything that you did with the command line and virtual machines applies tonight, as does everything that we did when we installed WordPress at least once or twice in your virtual machine. Except the difference is, instead of using SSH to connect to a virtual machine running on your computer, you're going to use SSH to connect to a virtual machine running in the cloud, the one that I pay for. So I have a personal website, kishba.com. If you go to it, there's really nothing on it. Someday a new website will appear. You know what? I just realized that just my face is on the screen right now. So there's nothing on this website now, but I have been using it to host your web projects, as you probably remember from Web 1. So the goal tonight is for you to install WordPress on there. And I've done some work before the live stream to prepare like a sandbox for you to be able to install and upload files without affecting other students. So before this live stream, you should have received a username and password and a couple other details via Slack. So you'll want to write those down, or maybe have Slack open while you're working on this. The main resource for this is going to be the link in Moodle called WordPress on Linode Notes. So that's in the week 13 box of Moodle. So if you open that Google Doc up, it's kind of just like a highlight of the commands that we used when we installed WordPress, just the ones that you're going to need. You don't have to install Apache, you don't have to install MySQL, you don't have to install PHP. I've taken care of that. We're going to be focusing mostly on the WordPress part from the previous notes. At the very top of this document, highlighted in yellow, are some of the details that I have already shared with you in Slack. This is a public Google document, and obviously it's on the screen now for the purposes of our recording. And I don't want that secure information to be shown on YouTube. So if you're not a member of the web design class and you're watching this video, please be nice. You don't have an account on this server, so don't even try to connect. I will say that WordPress, as we've talked about, is the most popular content management system out there, and it powers like a third of the websites. So there is a lot of attention being paid to WordPress vulnerabilities. And I can tell you firsthand that there are bots and malicious people out there looking for WordPress running on servers that either has weak passwords or is outdated, and they will try to take advantage of that. And I've had to take some precautions and even respond to some issues that I've had while hosting student websites before. So I'm taking precautions to not show passwords, and I would appreciate it if you would take precautions to change your password when I tell you to in these notes, and don't share the password with anyone. There will be parts of this recording where I am going to put my video full screen like this so that you don't see the password that I'm typing in. And hopefully things will go smoothly. And if something goes wrong and I need to type in a password again, I will put my video back up on the screen so you don't see the password. So without any more introduction, let's get started installing WordPress on the shared server. We're going to be using SSH. So if you're on Windows, you're going to be using PuTTY. If you're on a Mac like I am, you're going to be typing into the terminal SSH space your username at kishba.com, kshba.com. Now, I've set up mine to automatically log in and to trust me coming from this computer. When you type your username at the server, or when you connect with PuTTY with your username and you hit connect, you will be prompted, one, to trust the server because you may not have never connected before, and two, for your password. Your password has been sent to you in Slack ahead of time. Once you get logged in, I would like you to right away run the passwd command. And actually, on my screen here, I am going to take something out of the oven that I prepared as if this was a cooking show. I am going to be connecting with a very special user account, Web2 2019 FA, on my server. And I hope this is big enough to see. Yeah, that's pretty large. So I'm already connected to my server. I know that because if I type host name or who am I, it shows that I am Web2 2019 FA and I am on the Kishba server, the Kishbuntu server. Well, it says localhost, but I'm pretty sure that is on the server. So the first thing that you have to do when you're finally connected is to type passwd, P-A-S-S-W-D. It's short for password. When you run that, it's going to prompt you to enter your current password that I sent you in Slack, and then choose a new one. When you choose a new one, please write it down, put it somewhere safe. This is the password that you will connect with when you connect over SSH from now on, or if you connect with an SFTP program like CyberDuck or WinSCP or any of the other FTP programs that we've talked about in this semester and in Web 1. So you're going to need this password. I'm going to Control-C, Control-D to cancel out of this because I don't want to change my password at this point in time, but I need you to change yours. Because as you can tell when I set it to you, it's not the strongest password. And since they're all kind of similar, I don't want anyone else in the class to be able to log in with your account. Anyways, once you're logged in, if you type ls after you've changed your password, you're going to see that there's no files. If you type pwd for print working directory, you are in a folder /home/your username. Every one of you gets a folder all to yourself. And it looks empty, but I want to show you that there's actually some stuff in there. ls space -la is going to list all of the files in this folder, even the hidden ones. And I'm showing this because I want everyone to know that there are hidden files that start with a period. This will become relevant later on tonight. And every time you use a Linux account, a lot of your preferences and even your history of what commands you've run kind of get saved in these temporary or these hidden configuration files. Bash history in particular, that's actually what powers the ability to hit the up arrow to go up and down through your history of commands with the up and down keys. So if I actually were to take a look inside of this bash history file, it's actually just a list of all the commands that I have run here recently. So that's something new that I don't think we've talked about yet this semester. But I'm just showing you, giving you a lay of the land, how every one of you has your own account and your own home folder. Mine is named Web2 2019 FA. Yours is your username, your mid username, hopefully, if I spelled it right. So let's move on to the WordPress bit. We're going to first download WordPress, and we're going to use the wget program. Wget allows you to download files from the internet. So what I'm going to do for a lot of this live stream is just copy and paste from the Google Doc. So I'm copying this wget command. You will see that my web server has a very speedy connection to the internet. It downloaded 12 megabytes very, very fast at about 50 megabytes a second, which I think is pretty impressive. If you use the up arrow to go look at what's in your folder again with the ls command, you'll see in red here that there is a file called latest.tar.gz. This file that was hosted on WordPress.org contains the latest source code for WordPress. Every time WordPress releases a new version, they automatically build a new GZ. It's a zip file, essentially, is what it is, so that people can download the latest code. We're going to use the tar command with a couple flags, xzvf, and the file name to extract that zip file. A few of these flags mean like extract and to show verbose. What I think is interesting about the tar command is every other program that we've used this semester, when you pass options to it, you usually put like a dash in front of it. But with tar, it's just the letters, which is interesting. So I'm going to paste that in and hit enter. You'll see a lot of file names zip on by. It's extracting all of these files and folders. So the first folder name here is WordPress. If I type ls-la again, you're going to see that not only do we have this zip file, but we also now have, it's in blue here. I hope that comes through in the recording. We have a WordPress folder that was created. And you can tell from the date and time that it was one. It was just created right now by extracting from that latest .tar.gz zip file. We're going to go into that folder, and there's a couple different ways to get in there. So I could copy and paste that, but I'm going to type cd for change directory right here and walk you through a few ways that you can get into that WordPress folder. You can just start typing W and hit tab, and that completes WordPress for you. The other thing that you could do is type cd space tilde, the little squiggly character, slash W and hit tab, and that fills in WordPress as well. That tilde slash is a shortcut in Linux to your user's home folder, which we know is /home/ your username. So that saves you a lot of typing, and it will always take you back to your home folder. So let's go in there. You'll see that my path updates here on the left-hand side. And if I type pwd, I am now in /home/ web2 2019 fall. This would be your username /WordPress. All right, now let's start doing stuff in this folder. If I type ls, you'll see there's a lot of content in there already, but we're going to create a file that does not exist yet. We're going to create that htaccess file. So we're going to use a program called Touch, which I think I've talked about in a previous live stream. It's pretty interesting. It will either update the timestamp on the file if it already exists, or if it doesn't exist, it is going to create the file first. It's really cool. There's programs that will like watch your computer for changes in a file, and if you want to force them to do something, you can oftentimes just run the touch command to update that timestamp. In this case, we're using the touch command to actually create a file that does not exist in that folder. So I'm going to paste that in here. And if I type ls-la now, there indeed is a 0 byte, that's what this 0 means, htaccess file that was not there previously. The next thing we're going to do is make the upgrade directory. So as we talked about before, WordPress can install updates automatically, which is kind of important for keeping WordPress secure. And we're also going to create the uploads folder. Both of these folders are actually kept inside of another folder called WP content, and we have to make them a bit special. We have to actually allow WordPress to be able to update those folders. So first, we're just going to make the directories. So you can just copy in these commands. Notice how I put the tilde slash in there for you automatically. That means that for every one of you, it's going to be your home folder. It's really nice how that tilde slash works. I've created those two folders, and now we're going to use the cp command, the copy command, to make a copy of this configuration sample file and name it wp config-sample. So I'm just going to copy and paste this over to here. And if I ls-la, here's that new copy that was created just now, November 26th, right before Thanksgiving. Now we're going to go edit that file. We have to put a couple things in this file. Things like our username and password, things like the salt values that we had typed in a previous time when we installed WordPress. We're going to use the text editor Nano, and we're going to edit that WP config file that we just created. Some of this I won't be able to keep on screen, but let's edit the things that you can keep on screen first. So the database name. I gave everyone a database, and I wanted to show you that it wasn't the same as the username. So it's actually going to be your username _ WordPress. The next thing, the username, I believe is just going to be your mid username. Now, it's not the same password that you set before. It's going to be a different password. I'm going to type mine in just a minute. So I'm going to skip down here. The host name is still localhost. It's going to connect to the server itself for MySQL, so we'll leave that the same. I'm going to go down past the character set and the collation setting, and I'm going to add in a line. We have to copy and paste this define fs method direct into here. That allows WordPress to know that it is allowed to try to write to the uploads folder and write to the updates folder. Otherwise, it would try to prompt you for like your FTP username and password. And we like WordPress updating itself directly. So that is a safe command to paste in here. The next thing that we have to do is, and I guess I kind of skipped around here, but the next thing we have to do is put the salt values in. So if you remember, if you scroll down far enough in this file, there's this placeholder where you're supposed to go to a URL and paste in some unique phrases. So what I'm going to do to prepare that is delete with the Control-K character or key command. That cuts a line at a time. I'm basically going to delete those lines. And what I'm going to do is visit this salt generator. And every time I refresh this page, it's generating unique values. I'm going to copy and paste this over into right where I deleted from. Now, I don't want to do that with those values on the screen because these are used to generate the hashed version of my passwords. It's used to actually encrypt the passwords in WordPress. So if I left these on the screen, there are chances that someone might be able to reverse engineer the encryption method used to keep my WordPress password safe. I don't want that. I don't want to chance it. So this is where you get to see my big floating head while I refresh this web page a few more times. You don't know how many times I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to select them all and I'm going to paste them into the file. And the other thing that I'm going to do while I'm off screen. Oh, wow. I hit the wrong keyboard command here. Paste those into the file. The other thing that I'm going to do is, I did it again. Let me paste these into the file. Then I'm going to scroll up to right where the db_password field was. And we all need to type in our password. I hope that's the right password. And I'm going to move the password off screen so you can't see it. I haven't saved yet. So if I bring this back on the screen, I've got my values in, I've got the salt values in. While I'm in Nano, in order to save that, I'm going to hit Control-O to write the file. And it asks me, what do I want to name it? I'm going to leave it as wp-config. I'm going to hit Control-X to exit. And if I list the files with ls-la, you'll see that the configuration file was just updated moments ago. It says 118. I know that it's technically 818. That's because the time zone of the server is different than the time zone that we're in right now. But I've edited all those files. I'm going to go back to my cheat sheet here. And we're going to go back to my home folder. So that's cd//. And everyone has a WordPress folder now. I've done some magic to make a URL available for you. But that magic relies on everyone having a different folder than WordPress. We need to have a www folder. So what we're all going to do is run the make dir command, make directory, to create the www folder. So when you do ls, you should have a WordPress folder and a www folder. And now we are going to use a cool program called rsync to copy everything that's in the WordPress folder over to the www folder. rsync is a free utility. Someone showed me how to use it a while back, and what's special about it is rather than copying over top of things, it actually is going to inspect everything that's in those two folders and only copy what's different or what needs to be moved over. We're passing a couple flags to it to copy everything. We're passing the V for verbose and I think P for preserving the file permissions. But we're giving it two paths. The source directory is the WordPress folder and the destination directory is the www folder. So I'm going to run this rsync command. And on the screen, you'll see it copy every single file over. It copied about 45 megabytes. Now, what's cool about rsync is if I rerun that same command, it's going to go a lot faster because it has already done it once before. So it was just instantaneous, and it didn't copy any files over that time. Now we're going to go into that www folder. So I'm going to copy this command to go into my ~www folder. And we need to change some file permissions so that the web server, Apache, is going to have access to run these files and even to be able to create new files and folders inside of it. So these are some commands that I prepared for you after much trial and error. Trust me, it's a delicate balance to allow each of you to edit your files, but not edit another person's files, and to allow the web server to upload into the WordPress folders as desired. So this was pretty well researched. It's mostly inspired by the same tutorial that we went through as a class with just a few minor tweaks. So the first one is going to change the ownership on everything in this folder. That's what the star means. And it's going to set recursively on every single file and folder the group. There's this colon here. So normally it'd be username and group. Everything is already owned by you because you created the files. Now we're just going to change the group to the web server so that it has access. So paste that command over, and hopefully you had no error messages. And then this is the key factor here. We're going to set something called the GID bit, the setGID bit, on every single folder. I didn't know about this until I was teaching in a class, in a lab, and I observed people uploading their files to the WordPress folder. They had created a brand new theme with underscores. They uploaded it, and then they went and they tried to edit it. And they could only edit it once. After that, they were no longer able to overwrite the files that were there. And it was because the new files in the new folder that they had created were not owned by them anymore. They reverted back to being owned by the web server or something weird like that. So what we're going to do is set an option that tells it that any new folder that gets created is going to inherit the same permissions. So that's what this very complicated find inside of the www folder of your home folder. We're looking for directories. That's what type D means. We're going to execute a command, and it's a command we've used before. It's the chmod command to give G plus S. That's the setGID bit. The setGID bit. It's like a flag on everything that it has found. That's what the open and close curly braces are for. It's inserting things that it's found into that command and running it. So copy and paste everything, including the semicolon. And to show you what it did, if I do an ls-la, you'll see that we had already changed the folder to be owned, the group to be www data. But the thing that appeared now is on every single one of these folders, there is an S appearing right where the execute bit would be for the group. It's now an S for the setGID bit. That's a mouthful. That's a tongue twister. So that's important. Otherwise, if you find yourself uploading and then not being able to edit the files, it's because of this, and you would have to contact me and I would reset the permissions for you so that you could edit them. As long as we all run this command, we won't run into those issues. The next thing that we have to do is give Apache, the web server, the ability to upload new content into this WP content folder, and that's where your uploads are, that's where the upgrades are. So run this chmod command, which gives the group the write ability. That's what G plus W means, and it's only in this one directory. It's not all of them. It's just the place where uploads go. So I'm going to run that in here, and a few more security things to run. We are going to find all the directories and set their permissions so that 775 means the user, the first digit, you have read, write, and execute access. The group, that's the web server, has read, write, execute access. And then everyone else has read and execute access. That was important. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure PHP files weren't working because of the way that I've set up these symbolic links. So this command has to be run to set the the folders. And then type F, the files, we're going to change those to be 6665. So that's everyone has read and write access to files. The web server, you have right to read and execute. Your username has the ability to read and write to files. That's what 6 means. The second 6 is the group. That's the web server. And the 5 is the execute for everyone, or is for everyone to be able to read and execute. So run the second find command to set those permissions. And now it's the moment of truth. Whether I got my passwords right, we got the permissions right, we're going to visit kishba.com/2019FA for this semester. If you're watching this in a future semester, you'll have to update that part. / your username. Now, I'm actually going to leave the / username off because I hopefully will see a folder listing of all of our sites. If you go to /2019FA in the next couple weeks, you will hopefully see my website, my example website, but you'll also see your own and your peers in this class will each have a link here to go look at your WordPress sites. As soon as I type in my username or if I click on this, fingers crossed, we will see the WordPress installation screen. And we got it the first time, everybody. Last semester when I did this, I had rehearsed so many times that right before the live stream, I forgot to run the commands that created my database and gave me access to it. And I had somehow mixed up the database names for my demo site and your sites. So it was just a mess last semester. If you have already watched last semester's video, thank you for putting up with that. We're doing much better tonight. I'm going to click continue. This part we've done before. We just need to create a site in WordPress, a site name. Mine's going to be Brandon's Bistro. Yours is going to be whatever your proposal site was about. You need to create a username and a password. Please make these be secure and strong. They don't have to match what you've already used. It probably would be nice to use the same username, at least so that it matches. I'm going to try to find my password that I have in my cheat sheet over here while I'm stalling for time here. Make sure that you choose a strong password because it's this WordPress account that is likely to be brute forced as much as possible by bots. I've put precautions in to protect the SSH connection so that if you try to connect over SSH or FTP with the wrong password more than like a couple times, you'll be temporarily blocked from logging in. So if you get that by accident, you'd have to wait a couple hours before you're allowed back in. From WordPress, though, I don't have a way of blocking you if you've been trying to type in a password wrong. So I have seen that people have tried to brute force passwords on old student projects before. And so now, after the semester's over, I will probably disable your WordPress site after a couple weeks just to keep my server secure. You'll have to enter a username, an email address as well. And then the last button on here is search engine visibility. I'd appreciate it if you discourage search engines from listing it. I don't know if they'll find it on kishba.com, but if you check that box, we'll make sure that Google and Bing and all the search engines won't show results for whatever the name of your project is. So go ahead and click install. It's going to create all the tables in the WordPress database for you. And then you can click login. And you'll need the password that you just typed in. And like that, we're in. So I'm going to go create a post. Posts, add new. We did it. This is my first post after installing WordPress on Linode. I'm going to click publish. I'm going to go view my post. So the one downside to this server configuration, and I think if I reset up the server from scratch, kind of like we set up our VMs from scratch, I think I could get these URLs to be better. But for whatever reason, the way that I have everything configured for a class and some personal stuff that I have going on the server, I have not been able to get the pretty URLs to work without the index.php being listed in the URL. So we're just going to not worry about that. It's going to show the year, month, day, and the slug for the post that we just created in the URL. It's about the best that we can do. Any of your pages, if you have a sample page, those will have the sample page and the name of the page in the URL, but they're also going to have that index.php. but you should be able to create posts. I'm going to go edit this. I'm going to try to attach an image real quick. Let me backspace here. If I click image, I'm going to try to upload something from my desktop here. And you know what? On the off chance I have screenshots of student work or anything on my desktop, I am going to pick a screenshot. Oh, you know what? I probably have the database definition image. Yeah, okay. All right, I'm going to choose that. So I picked an image from my desktop. It uploaded really quickly. It inserted it into the web page. If I click update and then I go look at the post, we successfully uploaded an image. So permissions must be right. I want to show you something cool about how WordPress works. If I go back to the command line over here and we go into the WP-content folder, there are a bunch of folders in here now for themes and everything. We're going to go into the uploads folder. If I hit LLS in there, there's a 2019 folder. And in 2019, there's an 11 folder for November. And if I LS inside of here, there's actually 4 files. There's the mind map that I uploaded and then 3 revisions of it that are different thumbnail sizes. That's actually automatically created by WordPress. Whenever you upload an image, it'll create smaller thumbnails that will be great for a responsively designed website, for using much larger, much smaller in different places of your theme. That will only work if you have permissions right, which we do. So I think that's everything I wanted to do tonight. Since I'm not going to be doing a separate live stream about WooCommerce, I will show you that installing plugins is really easy. You go to the plugins area, click add new, and if you search for WooCommerce, you can click install now, and it's going to download it. And if you click on plugins again, it will be listed, and you'll have to click activate and fill out a form with some of the options that you want for your e-commerce website. All that is covered in the live stream video from last semester. For your final project, you're going to have to work with themes. If you followed the underscores videos that I shared, you'll actually have a folder or a zip file of your theme that you can upload here with drag and drop. Or if you want to find an existing theme and add it, you can click add new theme and search the WordPress community for any theme that you want. If you're going to customize one of the existing themes, they often have options. So the 2020 theme, which honestly, I had not seen the 2020 theme until just this video, I think. Before I was using 2019. So they have a brand new default theme. And I'm sure if I click customize, there's probably all sorts of options for configuring colors, background images. Yeah, this is sweet. Putting widgets in the footer or customizing where the menus appear. All of that can be configured through this front-end GUI. So for your final project, you have 2 choices. You can customize an existing theme, or you can create one with underscores. I encourage you to try underscores because if you want to become a freelance web designer, keep in mind that 1/3 of the websites out there run WordPress. Being able to create your own theme, or even just understand all the pieces of a theme, all the code pieces of a theme, is going to be extremely helpful for any of the work that you might have. Whether that's creating a brand new design for a WordPress site or just editing what they already have, knowing which files of a theme do what is going to be very important. So if you have interest and time to build a theme, I really do encourage you to follow that underscores theme. I love that there's a project that tries to give you a starter template for a theme, because otherwise it can be really slow going to create one. And I like that that's available. But all that being said, I know that many of my students often have better luck customizing the design by starting with a theme that they like already. So that's okay with me too. But I just want to give you those 2 different paths to consider depending on what your goals with the site and with this class are. My goal was always to be able to have you take Web 1 and Web 2 and build your own website. And by installing WordPress on a cloud server, you are so close to being able to do all of that on your own. The only piece that you haven't done yet is like signed up for a web host. And the one that I've been using all this semester and for the last like 12 years is linode.com. They have really awesome plans. They're not sponsoring this video or this class, but I've used them for so long. The price is very economical. $5 a month is the starting price to get a server that has 25 gigs of storage. It's very fast, has a great internet connection. That's what I've been using. So if you had the web host and then you had a domain name, which the very first exercise that we did in Web 1 was buying domain names, right? The .coms, the .orgs. I think I recommended hover.com in that first video. It's where my domains are hosted. You buy a domain, you point it to your server at Linode, and then you can install WordPress and have your own website with a store, with WooCommerce. All of this has been coming together over the last 2 semesters. And I appreciate you watching all of these videos, contacting me on Slack. I can't wait to see your final projects. We'll be talking more about that in the next couple weeks. If you have any questions, contact me in Slack. I would appreciate it if you would try to get WordPress installed this week as soon as possible, because having the technical aspects of how you're going to get your files up on the server and being able to visit them from any device is important. Get that done ahead of time so that you can focus on the rest of building the theme and tweaking the design and building the content. I think I've already reviewed everyone's project proposals. If you have any changes to that, I have always encouraged my students to continue building projects that they started earlier. It's very common for someone to take their Web 1 project that they did at the end of the semester and turn it into a WordPress site for Web 2 because they have all the content ready. This semester, though, I feel like there's been a few of you that have wanted to build on a different topic, and what I've liked so far is that some of those are more optimized for WordPress because they understand that there's a blogging aspect available in WordPress. So having like news or recent posts is something that I was really happy to see in your project proposals already. So that's it for the live stream tonight. Good luck setting up your web server. Let me know if you need any help.